So the other day I made a video talking about video sort of like a motivation so that someone else gets motivated to try to prove this idea of the life force theory. And I shared several ideas that I have and had from before about that in the video so that someone else hopefully can shoot at it and try to prove it themselves so that they can become a famous scientist in the 21st century. But I did that video impromptu. I just sat there and began talking about it. I wanted to talk about that for a long time, but I am not, an expert on the topic or anything like that. It's just ideas that I got due to the fact that I was also thinking about science fiction series and with a bit of fantasy and all that. So I had many of these ideas, and I thought that there were like a set of them that could actually be used, today by real scientists to try to prove something new that hasn't been proven. And I talk about that a lot in that video. So I'm just going to, I'll probably post in this second one, in this part 2 of extras, like a link to that main one so you can see that and then watch this. I only want to add 2 things here for this one. Since I did the first one impromptu, just sat there, began to talk, and I didn't prepare for it or anything, I obviously forgot a few ideas that I didn't mention in that one. So, other 2 things that could be proven or better explained, explain better if this life force thing is real and is actually proven by someone, will be, and I don't know how I forgot to mention this one in the first video, because this is a big one. This is something that will interest people maybe even more than all the other religious stuff and spiritual stuff and all that, because there are many people that are really smart and they don't care about that, but maybe they will care about this. I think there are more scientists who are pure scientists but not that interested in the spiritual stuff who are going to care more about this. So I think that this life force thing that I explained and talked about in the first video could also be used to show more, explain more about dreams. Why do dreams behave the way they do, and why do certain things happen when we dream? Like, for example, I'm sure that many people, myself included, have had a dream where they dream with other people, and these other people were people that they had never seen during their whole lives. However, in this dream, they look extremely realistic, as if they truly were real and existed, sometime, somewhere, somehow, I don't know. But extremely real, like up to everything, up to every detail, voice, everything. As if they were a real person, but you have never seen them. If this life force thing was a thing that we don't see, but that is connected to everything, and including to us, and we are in some way connected to it, and when we sleep and dream, we're a little bit more connected to that, and that thing, works sort of like a network, like an invisible network, I guess. It's a force. I'm just calling it a force just to call it something that makes sense. Then that will explain why such a thing can happen in a dream. Maybe that other person, someone that really did exist, maybe they don't exist anymore, who knows? But in this life force energy that is connected to everything, everyone, they still, exist in some way, I guess. And that's why someone else, maybe you, maybe me, maybe someone else that goes to sleep now during their life and has that dream, can dream with that person as if they knew them, because you didn't know that person. But if this life force thing is a real thing and exists, and it is connected to everyone, then this thing was also connected to that person and it is connected to you. So this thing did know that person, in a way. I'm trying to explain this in a way that makes sense. And I could also give ideas to someone that is better prepared than me, like a real scientist, so that they can maybe try and shoot to prove it. which, by the way, if you do prove this, I think it's guaranteed that you're gonna be like an Einstein personality in science in the 21st century. I just have an idea, you know, I don't know how to prove it or anything, but it's pretty obvious to me that if someone actually manages to prove these things and untap all this potential to explain so many things, you know, dreams is only one thing that could be explained with this. There's so much more. It would be a big deal. It would be like a big discovery for the human race, that sort of leak, that kind of stuff. So there's something else. I have read about people that, you know, maybe a couple, I don't know, two people that were in the same room, they had, you know, a similar dream about a similar, you know, person or thing or entity or whatever, I don't know. And they both, even though they are not, you know, their brains are not connected to each other in any way, they're completely separate, two different people, they both had not the same dream, but something similar. As if it was something that someone, you know, somehow something was taking place there, and they both were affected by it. If the life force thing was a thing and it was for real, then that would explain why that happens in you know, in dreams. Why two people in the same room can be having a similar dream, even though they, you know, common sense tells you that they were not supposed to, but if they can, and if it is something that has been reported and has happened to many people many times, there's always an explanation for everything. Maybe we don't know it, but there's an explanation. A way to explain it, if this thing was real, would be that. You know, the life force theory thing that it was present at that point, there in their location for this force thing, and they both were in the state to dream, so they both dreamed with that, because they both were there. Right? Or maybe because they were more connected to that thing because they were, you know, asleep, dreaming. Maybe there's a bigger connection with that thing when we're dreaming and asleep. Who knows? Okay, something else. Another idea that I also had for this, which that would be better explained with this stuff if this stuff was the real deal. You know, the life force theory stuff was a real deal. There are many people, I'm sure everyone has heard this or seen someone in that position that and this happens a lot with, you know, with habits. I think it happens more. The classic case is you know, when a woman is in love with a guy and you tell her, but you know, that guy's not good for you, so what's the big deal? Why don't you put a stop to that? And they tell you, oh, I couldn't help it. She couldn't help it. But you can see that they say it genuinely. You can see and understand that they, you know, they're not saying it as an excuse. They say it in a way that really shows you as if they didn't have control over their own self. But there was like a part of them that knew that it wasn't right, knew that it wasn't the best, and I was aware of it, but that part wasn't the part that was in control. If there was such a thing as this life force thing, and that was our spiritual side, and we also have the physical side, which would be DNA and our body and our mind and brain and all that, everything else. We all know, I mean, this is even studied. There's evolution, there are classes on that, there are books on that, human anatomy. I think that what will work better to explain this, however, is neurology and psychology, maybe. You know, the stories of how the brain works and all that. We have many instincts. There are many things that we do by instinct. All animals do a lot of stuff by instinct. I think the smarter you are, as a species, we're obviously smarter than, you know, than cats and dogs. The smarter the species is, the the less they're gonna do by instinct, and the more they're gonna do because they know it is what they want, they know it is what is right, and they, they can choose it. They are not, like a chicken, it does everything by instinct. But we're smarter, so although we have the instincts there, I don't know, in our DNA, in our brain, in us, we don't do everything by instinct. So this is just an idea, to give this idea to someone else. Maybe someone else can work with this idea a lot more than me. I don't feel that I can do much with this idea. I will do something with it in some of my, science fiction sagas and some of my thrillers, epic stories and all that. But I feel that a scientist, which is not what I am, can really get a lot more out of this. And maybe even make himself or herself, there are many smart ladies, famous worldwide with these ideas if they can incorporate them to something that they prove. Like an experiment, if it could be proven somehow that all these instincts, or what the body, what the DNA, what the the brain wants is this, even though the guy or the girl or whatever is not right for you, that's the guy and the girl that your instincts found more interesting, more alluring, more attractive, sexy, whatever you want to call it. If it could be proven that instincts of wanting that one, as in relationship, that kind of thing, but this can also happen for other stuff, right? I think that the classic example are relationships, so I'm gonna go with that one. If it could be proven that this impulse of liking that person because that person is, more attractive, even though they are not the right one for you or whatever, it could be proven that it's something that comes from DNA, something that comes from the physical, from your brain, your instincts, and it can be proven that there's something else, like the intuition that tells you this is not good for me, and that something else comes from somewhere else, not from neurology, not from, if a neurological test could really be used to determine that there's this intuitive part that doesn't really come from the physical, that would be useful, that would be something else that can be used to prove this stuff about the life force theory, I think. So we got a lot of things. We got dreams, so many things are not explainable then. So imagine if this stuff could be used to explain a lot about them. We got these instincts. If there was some way to prove that instincts come from your DNA and from the physical, and there's something else that somehow could be proven that doesn't come from the physical us, and we don't know from where it comes from, but that would be a way to start. You have been able to prove that there's something that's not coming from the physical, so where does it come from? You already know there's something else there then, if you can prove that's a way to start. I mentioned a few others in my first video. I think one of them is, the people with autism, that they feel, like if they are in another world, something like that. Basically, if this life force thing was a reality and it was something that gets proven, that would explain why those people feel that way. And maybe, I don't know how they will do to fix that. Imagine trying to fix something that is not in the physical, but maybe there's a way to do it. Because even if it's, it's not that it's not in the physical. It is that maybe it is something that we cannot see. Just like gravity. We cannot see gravity. Well, maybe there are some ways, some, types of ice or, something that is different, that is capable of seeing gravity as something that can be seen. But we cannot see it, but it is there and it affects us. So sometimes it's not that it is not physical at all. It's not that it is, like air, something that doesn't exist. Obviously, it does exist if it's something that can be proven and that makes a difference and that affects everyone. But sometimes it's just that, your species doesn't have the means to perceive it. And one that, let's say that, this is good science fiction stuff, by the way. Let's say that there's one that does have the means to perceive it, then maybe for them, it's not pure spiritual stuff. It's actually something that is not touchable, but at least perceivable. Something that can be seen, acting on everything. That kind of stuff. And I think that's it. Like in the other one, I'd say almost everything. But when you go into a talk like this, like a speech or something like that, impromptu, at least for me, I always forget something important. Because when you go into something like that with too many ideas in your mind, there's something that slips away and you forget about it. You just don't mention it. So that's why I decided to do this second video, mentioning these other ideas, to have the complete, talk about this. So yeah, now you can see why I came up and still come up with all the science fiction stories and the series and all that. These are not the best ideas that I came up with. I came up with a lot of other stuff, but I'm going to reserve it for my, for the things that I can write. I'm not gonna say everything. I'm gonna use a lot of it in what I can do. And obviously not all of it is, this kind of thing about forces and things that we cannot see. There's other stuff that is tied to actually characters and events, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna use. But this, I don't feel that I'm gonna get as much of it, my stories, as what someone who is a real scientist that has the background and the skills and the knowledge, which I don't have, the knowledge to be able to understand where you can truly begin to prove this stuff, where you can really do, what tools you can use, who knows. So that's it. So I'm giving you all these ideas. So now you know them. If there's anyone out there who can take advantage of them, go ahead and use them. I will only use them in like stories and writing and all that. But I really cannot be the one that does the experiment to prove this. But I can see that it has great potential, and I can see pretty clearly that if this is something that someone grasps and really proves it, it is inevitable that that person will be known at the global level, because it's just too big of a discovery to go unnoticed. It's I will even go as far as saying that it might even be bigger than the theory of relativity by Einstein, which is, we all know that the guy is considered one of the greatest geniuses of the human race. So if it's something that is bigger than what he discovered, it is inevitable that the person that, not someone who comes up with it as an idea like I'm doing, because I think that's a lot easier than actually proving it. Proving it is a whole new league, something else. But someone who manages to actually prove that, it's gonna go places. It probably will be someone who will stay in human history for a very long time, maybe for 1,000 years, maybe longer than that. So it's something that, if you feel that you can do it, it's worth giving it a shot. Just like I feel that I can do like a great series, like better than Stargate SG-1, better than the ones that are considered like top 10 right now. I feel that I can do that. So it's worth giving it a shot for me. But this other scientific stuff, which is really not, what I can take a shot at, even if I'm aware of how big it could be, uh, I would like to see someone else taking that shot. I would like it. So I think I don't lose anything by making 2 long videos about it. If one person gets motivated by this, that would be a win. For me, for him or her, and why not, but even for the human race. Because a discovery like this is something that won't ever be taken lightly if it is done. It will be such a big thing. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I find very interesting. That's the kind of thing that I want to do, but not in scientific discoveries, but in storytelling, in stories. I want to be able to create something that really grabs people like that and makes them think, wow, I've never seen something like that in my life. Definitely not read it either, until now. That's the kind of thing that I would like to do. And that's it. I don't have anything else to say about the life force theory, what I thought about it, and all the ideas I got about, the routes that a scientist or a physicist or a neurologist or an astrologist or maybe someone who's all those things roll into one, all the routes that such a person can take to shoot at trying to prove this stuff and to know where they can begin. Dreams, some disorders that many people have, like autism, which make them feel like they are like in another world, something like that. Like there's like a part of them that is physical and the body, and a part that is something else. That's another point. You can begin. So if you're interested in that, go there. If you're interested in dreams, go through the dreams route. If you're interested in religion, spiritual stuff, how do you prove what that is? It's kind of like what they show in Star Wars, but they do it like in a fantasy perspective there. Like in real life, it's this force thing. I don't feel that it is something that can, do magic. I don't think it works that way, but it doesn't mean that it cannot exist and that it cannot be something essential and something maybe even central or very important in existence of living beings. Who knows? I don't know. I have more ideas, but I'm not very clear with them right now. So just watch the first video. When you watch the first video and you add this one to it and you put them together, that has all the ideas that I came up with for this. So you will know where to begin, and you will see some of the ideas by Pedro Cristobal. So that's it. No more talking about the life force. So next time I'm going to be talking about something else. I do have some other interesting topics that are a little psychological. I like all that. I love all that stuff. Psychological stuff, philosophical stuff. I like all that. So I will give other talks, in those topics that I like, and I will also, I'm thinking about this history of mine. I think I'm gonna change the title. Like I was thinking about the Legend of the Gods, Project H, the Legend of the Gods. But there's so many people writing stories nowadays, it's just crazy, that already has this name in their books, the Legend of the Gods. They're writing about something completely different from me. It doesn't have anything to do, has like dragons and all that, something else. But it's, the name's already taken. I want something original for me, so I'm going to come up with a better name. I already thought of one, but I'm gonna wait until I begin and I have the few chapters edited to post that there and sharing a video and all that. Okay, so that's it. I can continue talking like forever, so I'm gonna leave it here. I'm already done with the topic, which is the life force stuff.